Hi guys, I'm waiting for it to get unblurry. Sorry, we cleaned out this room so it's in a box when I'm not using it, the box it came in. So yeah, we're just kind of revamping the room. Anyway, so basically today we're gonna start Degrassi Friendships seasons 1 through 7, Degrassi the Next Generation. That's what we did the order in the last time. So we're going to do the next generation, then next class, and then junior high and high, because that's what I did last time. It would just make it easier if I continued. So some of these friendships are all over the place in different seasons. So you might hear some familiar ones from this and the next one too. But yeah, so I have a lot of friendships to get to, so let's go. Ellie and Alex. They were friends when Ellie was dating Sean and even after. And I feel like they were kind of the same, like they came from broken homes and they really like complemented each other, but I also feel like Alex was there to deliver the blunt truth when Ellie needed to hear it, and I feel like that was something that really helped Ellie put things into perspective a lot of the time. Anya and Mia. So Anya and Mia were cute friends, and I know that Anya was like crazy about her modeling and wanted to know everything to do with that and everything, but I feel like Anya and Mia were really good for each other. Also in season 7, where Mia tried to get Holly J to stop picking on Anya and actually stood up for Anya. I feel like that's something that Anya really needed, and Mia was a good friend for her. Snake and Joey from season 1. They've been friends since forever, and the fact that they still joke around with each other and they're still able to stay friends as adults is really refreshing, and I really like their friendship. We'll talk more about how the friendship works in junior high and high. Snake and Sean, it's not really friends, more of a father figure. They had some father figures and like mentors in here, so that's why I put that. More of a father figure, but Snake was always there when Sean needed some advice, whether it was in, you know, when he was in school about like, you know, like the schoolwork and just other conflicts going on, or whether it was when he was about to ship out to Afghanistan. Snake was there to kind of help Sean deal with the things he was going through and talk about them instead of holding them in. Ashley and Ellie. I've always loved Ashley and Ellie's friendship for the sole reason of Ashley lost her friends and she needed a friend. And Ellie, it didn't matter to Ellie what Ashley's aesthetic was like, what her likes and dislikes were. Ellie just wanted to be friends with Ashley because of Ashley. And I feel like that was really nice for Ashley to finally have a friend that didn't care about image as much and just wanted to be friends with her. Ashley and Liberty. Obviously more as a mentor role, but then it becomes friends by the Smithdale trip in season 7, then they're actually friends. But it started as a mentor, and I feel like Ashley was really just trying to help Liberty, you know, get ready for the 8th grade when it was a mentorship, and she actually cared about her well-being and, you know, with the morning announcements. And then when it came to being friends, they were still just kind of casual friends, but then they became friends because then they all went to Smithdale together and Ashley got them into the Purple Dragon show. Ashley and Terry. So Ashley and Terry was one of my favorite friendships because Terry was always there for Ashley. Even when everybody else dropped Ashley, Terry was still there for her and was still friends with her. And Ashley was also a really good friend to Terry because she never tore her down or anything like a lot of other people did. So, Bruce the Moose and Lucas. I had to write Bruce the Moose or I wouldn't know who the hell Bruce was. Bruce the Moose and Lucas. I don't even know if there's really much to talk about with them. They were just kind of bullies and asshole people. That's about it. Caitlin and Spike. This is when they're adults being friends. And I feel like they were a lot closer as adults than they were as teenagers, because as teenagers I think they butt heads a lot. But as adults, I really think they were good friends because Caitlin was always there for Spike when she found out she was pregnant right before her wedding. Like she was always there for her, especially when the whole snake cheating, that should have never happened. But the snake cheating storyline, that was bullshit. Caitlin was there for her, trying to cheer her up. So, you know. Caitlin and Ellie, obviously as her mentor, she was looking out for Ellie and she gave her a start in journalism. She gave her the internship and she was just, you know, and then when she comes back in season 7 and she sees how far Ellie has come and she's so proud of her, and so she agrees to do the mentor-mentee interview. So it was nice. Caitlin and Emma, that's like, so what I mean by that is it's her mom's friend. So you know when your parent has a friend and you call them Miss and then their first name, because that's your parent's friend. So it's kind of like Caitlin was a big mentor to Emma about environmental issues, and Lucy even called Emma Mini Caitlin. So it's like, you know, it was one of her mom's friends and she just really stood with all her environmental views and she was a big fan of her. And so Caitlin was kind of a mentor to Emma in that way. And then when Caitlin gave Emma boy advice, it was just, you know. Ellie and Craig. I liked Ellie and Craig's friendship because I feel like they were a lot alike, and I feel like they, you know, were destined to be friends because, you know, after Ashley left for England, then Ellie and Craig started spending more time together because Ashley was gone, and they just realized how much they had in common. And then Ellie joined the band after they kicked Spinner out, and then, you know. Craig and Emma. So Craig and Emma, I think it was good for her to have Craig as a friend because he did help her try to find where her real father was when nobody else wanted to help her. So she had Craig's help, and I think Craig was the perfect person to help her with that. Not only that, but Craig is just kind of like, then they're kind of like acquaintances past that point. They don't really hang out that much after, but I know definitely for that, they're close. Craig and Marco. Craig and Marco had a very interesting friendship. Of course, the infamous "when in doubt, you kiss Craig." But they had an interesting friendship because, you know, Marco was friends also with Ellie and trying to get Ellie and Craig together, and Craig was trying to help Marco through all of his things, even though Craig's not gay. And you know, it's interesting because they were really good friends, but they also just, it's like they were such good friends, but you wouldn't think they'd be friends type of thing. Like, they're just so different. Damien and Liberty. Okay, Damien and Liberty were friends, and they were both very smart, but I don't know if they were friends as much as they were kind of trying to make something happen. So I'm just going to leave them in the I don't know pile because I wrote everybody down that was listed except for the people that clearly weren't friends. But, you know, I mean, I'll link my resource down below and then you guys can see what I mean. Danny and Anya. Danny and Anya were good friends, and I think that's because Danny dating Leia, but also because he was in the band with Sav, so he was just kind of there, and then he started dating Shantae. There's a lot, but he was friends with Anya, and they didn't really interact all that much, so I can't really speak much on that. Danny and Derek. They started their run as friends, and they were just those annoying fuzzhead twins that were just annoying. And Derek lost all of his character development, and Danny gained character development. So that's basically as much as I have to say on them. Danny and Jane. Obviously they were in the band, Janie and the Studs together, and I think that that kind of made them get closer, but also he was friends with Spinner and Jane was dating Spinner. So again, they were more just like band friends. Danny and Sav. Again, they were in Studs and then Janie and the Studs together, so it's kind of like they had been friends for that whole period of time. They were dating their girlfriends' friends, and so they were all just kind of in the same friend group. Danny and Spinner. They were in a band together. That's basically it. That's where it is, because they didn't really interact much outside of that. Darcy and Shantae, they were on Spirit Squad together, and again, they didn't really interact much out of that, except you want to count the time when Darcy and Shantae were over Emma's house, and that was the time with Chester and his brothers and that whole thing. But they didn't really interact much out of Spirit Squad. Darcy and Jane. Darcy and Jane were amazing friends. I love their friendship, especially that it starts in the archery club. I love their friendship because they literally just, there was the girly girl and the tomboy, and they just fit together so well, and they really helped each other, especially even though Darcy had gone to Africa, she still helped Jane by sending her a gift that is supposed to be for like strength, I think, and everything. And so that was more season 8, season 9. That was season 8. But like I'm saying, like, she was always there for her after that point. Darcy and Kim. I don't know if I'd call Darcy and Kim friends. I mean, they were in friendship club together, but I don't really know if I'd call them friends. Kim seemed a little overly judgmental of Darcy. Darcy and Manny. Darcy and Manny were really good friends, especially in season 7, because Manny was helping Darcy with what she had gone through, and she was being there for her and just being a listening ear and a good friend. And I feel like Darcy really needed that. Downtown Sasquatch. So this is Craig, Marco, Jimmy, Spinner, and then when Spinner was out, Ellie. It was just the band Downtown Sasquatch. They were all really close with each other until Spinner obviously did what he did. You know, and that's the last one on that page. Okay, next side. Ellie and Dylan. If you don't know who Dylan is, that's Marco's boyfriend. So Ellie and Dylan, obviously when Ellie started living with them, she got closer with him and they became friends. They still didn't have many interactions, but they became closer. Ellie and Griffin. So that's when Griffin moved in season 7. And Ellie and Griffin obviously became friends because when you're a roommate with somebody, you get close with them. Ellie and Spinner. So Ellie and Spinner were pretty close friends too. And they just kind of stayed friends to the test of time. But yeah, they didn't have many interactions because they just didn't run in a lot of the same groups. Emma and Shantae, that's kind of like when she came over for the girl weekend and the whole Chester thing, but they didn't really talk that much. Same thing with Darcy and Emma. They may have been friends probably through Manny, but they didn't talk that much. Emma did stand up for her after what happened to Darcy, though, when Kim was getting all judgmental. Emma did stand up for her, though. Liberty and Emma. Liberty and Emma have been friends since forever. They've stayed friends. They're really good with each other. They are, you know, Emma tried to help her in season 1, even though nothing was going on. Or was it season 2? The 1 and 2 I get a little mixed up. But, yeah, like, Emma tried to help Liberty even though nothing was happening. And it's just, they've always been there for each other. And that's why when they made the Liberty and Damien thing happen, I was really upset because that was cutting apart a friendship that stood the test of time. Emma and Manny. Emma and Manny have been friends since daycare. They basically say that. And I love their friendship because even though they went through a lot and Manny got a little judgmental sometimes, or Emma got a little judgmental sometimes, and they had their fights, they still were able to come together and stay friends. Lifelong, like I said. Emma and Toby. Emma and Toby became friends when he obviously showed up for the tour and JT happened to be like, this is Toby. So they became friends and I feel like Emma and Toby's friendship was really sweet. You know, he definitely liked her at some point, but she never like was mean to him and she knew, but she never like would give on to the idea that she knew. And, you know, I feel like it's just, she was still so sweet to Toby and was still his friend. Hazel and Terry. I love Hazel and Terry because they're the two like underrated friends. Like everybody forgets about them. And they were always there for each other. Even if Paige or Ashley had problems, Hazel and Terry never had problems. Hell hath no fury. The members are Paige, Hazel, Ashley, and Ellie. And I loved that band. They were the one who sang the song to Craig about how he's a loser. And I loved that group. I loved how they were all friends and they all just kind of came together and became friends. It was really nice. Holly J and Anya. So this is season 7. And Holly J and Anya in season 7, I hated that friendship. It wasn't even a friendship. It was more just like Holly J told Anya what to do and snapped her fingers. And I hated Holly J season 7. So I didn't like this relationship. It was very toxic and it was very like self-serving for Holly J. And I just, no. Holly J and Shantae. Again, in season 7, they didn't have many interactions. I mean, they were on Spirit Squad together, but I don't think there were many interactions. JT and Danny. JT and Danny were friends when Danny was younger, and, you know, it was interesting that he was, like, yes, he was dating Liberty, and so he was close with her younger brother, but he stayed friends with her younger brother after that point, and was friends with her younger brother before that point, so that was just a little interesting. JT and Emma. Of course they were close friends because the whole Liberty, Manny, Toby, everybody was kind of just close friends with everybody. But their friendship was definitely sweet, especially when he was asking Emma if he should ask Manny to the semi-formal. JT and Toby. They obviously have a cute friendship because they obviously knew each other from camp for a long amount of time. And, you know, Toby was always trying to help JT. JT was always trying to help Toby. And it was just a really, really sweet friendship, especially when Toby was giving JT updates on Liberty's pregnancy. That was sweet of him to do. Jane and Manny. I love when Jane and Manny became friends because they were able to compliment each other again in the girly girl with the tomboy thing, especially when she was famous for acting. That comes in season 8 and 9. But yeah, they just complimented each other well. Jane and Mia. So this is season 7, and Jane and Mia used to be friends, and then they weren't anymore, but I love how Jane kept asking about Isabella and kept like trying to help Mia with Isabella, like when she offered to drive Mia home after the party, and then the police came, but I really like how Jane was still there because of Isabella. So Jane and Mia were the last ones there, and then that goes, okay, so Jane and Mia, and then we go to the sheet of paper. Nothing on the back. Okay, so this is the last few ones we have. Now, these were split up in alphabetical order. That's why some are coming later, and it's weird. Craig and Jimmy. So Craig and Jimmy were obviously really close friends in downtown Sasquatch together, and they just kind of were... That's why they were close, is the band, and they just kind of stayed that close because of the things they had in common. Jimmy and Derek. So Jimmy and Derek didn't become friends until after Jimmy was his basketball coach, and he basically told him to swallow his pride and stop being so arrogant. So then they became friends because then Derek wanted to learn things from Jimmy. Jimmy and Ellie. I love Jimmy and Ellie's friendship. She was trying to... You know, like, she was trying to, what's the word? Support, I guess, his artistic ability. And she was trying to be like, look, you don't have to be the sports person. You could be the artist person and things like that. And she was just always standing up for him in that way. And she was the one that he could talk to about his artistic interest. Jimmy and Marco. Jimmy and Marco were really good friends for a long amount of time. Obviously, they were in the band together, but when Marco came out as gay, Jimmy didn't treat him any differently. He was still his friend. And after Marco got beat up by the gay bashers, Jimmy was the one that went to basically be there for him. Jimmy and Paige. Jimmy and Paige were kind of friends because he had dated Ashley, and then he was best friends with Spinner, who was dating Paige. So they were like acquaintances, kind of friends, but I never really felt that they were like really good friends, you know what I mean? Jimmy and Terry. Jimmy and Terry, again, they were kind of like acquaintance friends, like other than when he said, you know, if Rick ever does anything to you again, let me know and I'll essentially like beat him up for you. But other than that, it was kind of like, you know, they didn't really interact. And that's a lot to the writing, I know. Jimmy and Toby. So Jimmy was more of a mentor to Toby when he was dating Ashley. He was more teaching Toby how to play basketball. And so it was more of a mentor relationship, but they were still pretty close. And then of course when Ashley dumped Jimmy, it was like, not hanging out with Toby anymore. Johnny and Bruce the Moose. Again, I don't have much to say about Johnny and Bruce the Moose because this is just season 7. They're assholes. That's like basically it. Johnny and Lucas. Again, this is season 7. I don't have much to say. They're just kind of assholes. Liz and Spike when they're adults. So Liz and Spike when they're adults are really good, and their friendship even gets better when Liz is the one that helps Spike deliver her baby in the home birth. So that makes it even better because then they stayed that close that Spike trusted her with that. Caitlin and Lucy as adults. Caitlin and Lucy seemed closer as adults than they did as teenagers. Even though, you know, Caitlin was there for Lucy after the crash happened and school's out, it's nice to see that they were still friends and they stayed friends. Lucy and Spike. I'm glad to see that Lucy and Spike were friends and that they stayed friends. And again, I think Lucy was a better friend to Spike in adult years because, you know, she was there for the wedding and maybe she didn't say the greatest advice when Spike said she was pregnant. She's like, you're finally with someone who loves you now. Maybe that wasn't the best advice, but I know where Lucy was coming from. Manny and Shantae. So again, this is they're on Spirit Squad together. They didn't really have many interactions, again, to the writing, but they seem like pretty good friends. Manny and Hazel. Manny and Hazel were kind of friends, and I think Manny wanted to be friends with Hazel, but of course when Paige and Manny were having their conflict, it was kind of hard for Manny and Hazel to be friends, but I think they could have been good friends. Manny and Liberty, again, friends for a while. Manny and Liberty were maybe even better than Emma and Liberty because Manny didn't have a lot of conflicts with Liberty. She barely conflicted with Liberty because she just didn't really have any problems with Liberty. Manny and Mia. I love Manny and Mia's friendship because she's so supportive of the fact that she's a mother and she wants her on Spirit Squad because she knows she wants to do it and she'd be good at it. And it's just, Manny always supported Mia and I loved to see that. Okay. Manny and Sav. Manny and Sav were kinda like acquaintances, I guess, because of Manny's other friends. But Manny and Sav, I didn't really see them interact that much. Like when he played at Emma's wedding and she sang, I guess that was like a show of their friendship. Manny and Toby. I loved Manny and Toby because it was, again, JT introduced them and Manny and Toby were just kind of like, okay, we'll be friends. And their friendship was really sweet when they were all younger. Marco, and it's also cute when all the girls hug Toby at their prom. Where they're like, aw, and they all hug him. Marco and Alex. So Marco and Alex were, again, those kind of friends, and they only got really close when Paige and Alex were dating. But yeah, I mean, when they worked on student council, that's right, I forgot about that. And they were a good team and they really worked together and made a lot of things better for the student body and everything. And I think that they were good friends. Marco and Griffin. So Marco and Griffin. They were really good friends, and I like how Griffin went to Marco to ask about Paige because that was a really good move because obviously Paige is one of Marco's closest friends. Marco and Hazel. So Marco and Hazel, I love that they were friends, and I love that even though things didn't work out with Hazel, she still was friends with Marco, and they were all just really supportive of him, especially Hazel, because, you know, she didn't have a problem with anybody, honestly. Marco and Manny. Marco and Manny would have been cuter friends if obviously Manny didn't have that rivalry with Paige going on, mostly supplemented by Paige. Yeah. Mia and Sav. So Mia and Sav, this says season 7. So Mia and Sav met in season 7, and you know, she was being really good for him, kind of teaching him how to kiss, and he was teaching her badminton techniques and things like that. So I think it was a cute friendship, and it was kind of a cute like crush that she had on him, but of course it didn't go that far. But they were really good friends when she was just helping him learn how to date, and he was helping her learn how to be better at badminton. So PMS, Paige, Michael, Chuck, and the S kittens. So that's Paige, Ashley, and Terry. And I really liked their friendship. Obviously, they had been friends for a while, and them creating a group was really cool. I don't really like the name PMS, but I like the friendship. Paige and Ashley. Paige and Ashley had so many ups and downs that I couldn't even count it. But at the end of the day, after Paige came clean about what happened between her and Dean, Paige and Ashley made up, and Ashley was there for her from that point on. And I really, really liked that. Paige and Ellie. Paige and Ellie became friends later on, and they were never best friends or anything, but they seemed to at least like each other's existence. Like, they didn't hate each other, they at least got along. Paige and Hazel. Paige and Hazel were like the inseparable best friends. They never really stopped being friends. Hazel sometimes put Paige in her place, and Paige sometimes put Hazel in her place, but they stayed friends. Paige and JT. Paige and JT were a cute friendship because he definitely went and attacked Dean for her after he found out what had happened. And I think that was really sweet of JT to do that, even though he was so young and tiny. Paige and Marco. Paige and Marco are very close. They share everything with each other. They're always there for each other, and I love their friendship. It's so cute, especially when Paige decides she wants to set up Marco with her brother. Paige and Terry. Paige and Terry, I feel like, had a good relationship because Paige really did want her to get out of the relationship with Rick because she really cared about her, and she voiced that so many times. Peter and Danny. So Peter and Danny were pretty good friends, especially when Peter was in the musical with Shantae, but we'll get to that in the next video. But they were really good friends. At that point, they got a lot closer. But then, of course, starting in season 7, they were in the band together. Peter and Jane. Peter and Jane were really good friends after the whole Janie with the studs debacle. They stayed good friends because obviously it would be Janie and the Studs featuring Peter Stohn, so then they kind of fixed everything. And also he was dating Darcy when she was friends with Darcy. Peter and Sav. So Peter and Sav, they obviously started Studs together, and they just kind of stayed friends because obviously then they stayed friends because then he was dating Darcy, and then Sav was dating Anya, and then everybody just kind of ran in a similar group. Sav and Shantae. Sav and Shantae, you don't really see it until like season 11 when they're working on a project about the Supreme Court justices together. Sav and Jane. So Sav and Jane in season 7. Oh, that was Peter and Sav. Okay. Sav and Jane in season 7, there's not many interactions, but because she's dating Spinner and Spinner's in the band with Sav. Sean and Alex. I feel like Sean and Alex were kind of like the guy and girl equivalent match because they both came from broken homes and things like that, but they really complemented each other well, and it was a good friend that was a girl that understood his circumstances for him to have. Someone who understood his circumstances like that. So Sean and Ashley, they're more acquaintances than friends, but I think that shouldn't have ever happened, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think they should have ever talked. I don't think they should have ever interacted. I didn't like it. Shawn and Craig. I liked Shawn and Craig because when Jimmy was at fault with Shawn and everything, then Shawn could have a friend, and Craig was new and he didn't have any friends. So it was nice for Craig to come in and kind of be friends with Shawn. Shawn and JT. Again, I think that's cute because he was in with the group of like Emma, Manny, and all of them. And I know Emma wanted Shawn in the group first and foremost, but for him to become friends with JT, that was sweet. Shawn and Jay, I never really liked their friendship until season 8. No, sorry. Until season 6, episode 8. That's what I was saying. Season 6 is when I liked Shawn and Jay's friendship. Before that point, Jay wasn't good and he was trying to make Shawn not good as well. Shawn and Manny. I like Shawn and Manny's friendship because he was obviously with Emma most of the time, so Manny was a friend, but he was actually sweet to Manny. Like when she was crying about what happened to JT, he was consoling her and saying, no, it's not your fault. And he was just really sweet to Manny. Shawn and Marco. Shawn and Marco were kind of like, they were friends, like kind of like more acquaintances, I guess, but they got along really well. The only time I really saw them be friends is when they had that sleepover at Craig's. Shawn and Spinner. Again, the only time I really saw them as friends was at that sleepover that Craig had. Spike and Manny. Obviously a friend's mom, and Spike was there for Manny when she thought she was pregnant, so she was just kind of helping her out with that. But yeah, it's the friend's mom situation where you would be like, oh, Miss whatever your friend's mom name is. It's kind of like that. It's like a mentor, kind of. Someone to go to for advice. I mean, I went to friends of my mom for advice, so you know. Spinner and Ashley. Spinner and Ashley were obviously friends for a while, especially because he was dating Paige and all that. That's basically it. Spinner was more mean to Ashley when the whole Ashley Jimmy thing was going on, so. Spinner and Craig. Spinner and Craig were really good friends, and you could see that by the band. And even though Spinner said some stupid things and Spinner may have put Craig in some awkward positions, they still were able to stay friends. Spinner and Holly J. I really like Spinner and Holly J's friendship because she did like him, but it'll be in the next video, but you'll see why I like them in the next video because I can go more into depth with why that was good. But in season 7, he did tell her, you know, you're poor, but you lied about it. And she didn't know why. Oh, wait, that's in season 8. But she didn't know why she told the press the bad stuff about Mia. And Spinner's like, I know why. And he kind of put her into her perspective that she should be lucky with what she has by putting his own perspective in there. Spinner and Jay. I didn't like Spinner and Jay at first, but then when they're adults, I do like them because then they balance out better. Spinner and Jimmy. So Spinner and Jimmy, I really, really like that when they're friends because they really complement each other well. They're like the closest out of an entire friend group, or they're downtown Sasquatch. They're the closest because they've known each other since like pre-K, I think they say. Spinner and Marco. Spinner and Marco didn't start out great because Spinner threatened to out Marco before he was ready, and that wasn't nice. But then Spinner came around and then tried to help Marco get with Dylan, so that was kind of like his redeeming. Spinner and Peter. Spinner and Peter, they're in the band together, but obviously they don't really interact past that in season 7. Spinner and Sav, again in season 7, they're in the band together. They don't really interact past that. Spinner and Terry, seasons 1 through 3. Okay, I will tell you. Spinner had a crush on Terry, and they should have happened. But anyway, Spinner was such a good friend to Terry because when she saw the ad was on the bus stop, and she was like, I don't want to be a model anymore. I look fat. And he's like, Terry, you're pretty. You're really pretty. And he was always like giving her the confidence boost that she needed. Toby and Holly J were acquaintances. It was only one episode where he was tutoring her in math, and she was trying to help him pass gym. So they kind of had to start a crush a little bit there on her side, but I think it was really nice when they had that talk and he's like, well, now Heather's gone, so you do you, basically. Like, you don't have to be in her shadow anymore. Toby and Liberty. I love Toby and Liberty's friendship. I feel like they were a lot more connected than anybody else in the group. Obviously, her dating his best friend. So I feel like they were a lot more connected, and you know, when he started to get a crush on her and she started to kind of get a crush on him, I know it was like a lot of grief and everything, but I feel like he was always so supportive of her, especially because he made sure she got to the hospital when she was having the baby and things like that. Toby and Rick. Toby and Rick, they became friends, obviously, before Rick's demise. And Toby and Rick, I feel like, were good friends. And he was a good friend to Rick, obviously, before what happened. And yeah, he just kind of saw Rick for the person that he was instead of, you know, what he did. And that's not excusing what he did to Terry, obviously. I'm just saying it for the sake of him being friends with Toby. But yeah, so this is the new kind of videos. We did 1 through 7. So next week we'll be doing 8 through 14. Please tell me if you guys like this. And then after friendships, we will be doing rivalries. As always, I will link down below the wiki that I got all of these friendships from. They have them in alphabetical order. They have the relationships, the friendships, and the conflicts all together in a list. We're just talking about the friendships from seasons 1 through 7. Next week, we'll be talking about the ones from 8 to 14. So that's a much longer list. So please stick around for that. But yeah, guys, so I will be making these Degrassi videos until we play the Nancy Drew game, and these Degrassi videos will last me until we play the Nancy Drew game. So thank you so much for watching. Happy Thanksgiving. I know this video is going on after Thanksgiving, and you'll see who I'm thankful for before Thanksgiving, but I just wanted to say it. Happy belated Thanksgiving if you celebrated. If you didn't, I hope you have a good weekend, and I hope you had a good week. Most likely off of work or anything if you live in the US, even if you don't celebrate it, you had a nice time off of work. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!